The screen fades in on a softly lit studio. As the camera pulls back, you see a poised Joanie Lamb seated across from a familiar face. Stephen Strang, publisher and interviewer. Before we jump into the heart of this conversation, if you're new here, please hit that like button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep bringing you honest, in-depth stories. Now let's explore what happened when Joanie Lamb sat down for an interview meant to repair her image, and why it may have made things even worse. From the moment the interview began, it felt carefully choreographed. The title card read, "The Real Joanie Lamb," a dramatic hook promising transparency. But behind the scenes, this was a classic damage control mission. Joanie had faced heavy criticism lately. Leaked audio from her son Jonathan revealed a side of her few had seen before. Impatient, controlling, and far removed from the gentle, faith-filled matriarch viewers knew on screen. This interview was her chance to set the record straight, to remind everyone of her faith, her resilience, and her leadership at Daystar. What viewers didn't know at first was that Stephen Strang, the interviewer, also happened to be the publisher of Joanie's latest book, Through the Storm. That alone raises eyebrows. When your host stands to benefit from your speaking engagement, you can't help but wonder. Will the questions be tough, or will they steer clear of anything that might damage book sales? As we watched, it became clear that this was no hard-hitting exposé. Strang interjected only a handful of times during the nearly hour-long video. The rest of the airtime was reserved for Joanie to present her side. Polished, poignant stories designed to reinforce her image as a woman tested by adversity and yet confident in God's plan. Joanie opened with her early life, childhood memories, past relationships, and the moment she wrote a letter to God asking for guidance. "I kept dating the wrong people," she confessed, "and I realized if I wanted to follow God's best, I needed to press pause and let Him lead." It's a touching anecdote, and viewers have come to expect these personal testimonies from Joanie and other faith leaders. But here's the thing. The same template was echoed by Dr. Doug Weiss, whose romance with Joanie has also stirred controversy. Doug once shared how he knelt down in despair, giving God 30 days to turn his life around, and he attributed his own turnaround to divine intervention. When faith narratives start to sound interchangeable, audiences notice. The interview's emotional centerpiece was Joanie's account of Marcus Lamb's passing and her 6 months of deep grief. She spoke of sleepless nights, of wrestling with loss, and of the moment God called her to get my house in order. In context, that revelation could be powerful. But viewers immediately spotted a jarring contradiction. Joanie claimed she cried for 6 months, yet she placed a deposit on her honeymoon less than 10 months after Marcus died. Even more, that honeymoon reservation was made before her engagement to Doug was officially announced. Comments flooded in. How do you grieve for half a year while planning a celebration so soon? Was she truly in mourning, or was the timeline arranged to fit a narrative? As if that weren't enough, eagle-eyed fans pointed out a curious snippet of evidence. An April 2022 episode of Ministry Now, featuring both Joanie and Doug Weiss, aired months before Doug's divorce was final and long before their engagement. The clip showed them laughing, appearing comfortable in each other's company. But after critics highlighted it online, Daystar quietly removed the episode from its website. No press release, no explanation, just gone. Was this routine website maintenance? Or a deliberate erasure of proof that their relationship began earlier than portrayed? For viewers already skeptical, the deletion only confirmed a pattern of controlling the narrative rather than owning up to uncomfortable truths. Speaking of control, Joanie insisted during the interview that she didn't watch any YouTube videos or podcasts about the controversy. "I haven't listened to a single clip," she claimed. Yet behind the scenes, her staff was busy producing response videos, carefully scripted rebuttals to every accusation. How does someone avoid online gossip while simultaneously approving videos that quote and dismantle that same gossip? The contradiction was impossible to ignore. Viewers saw it as clear evidence that Joanie was deeply invested in defending her image, even while pretending indifference. The interview also glossed over key questions that fans and critics alike wanted answered. One viewer wrote, "We wanted to hear if Joanie regrets her mistakes, and how she plans to rebuild trust with her children." Instead, she spoke in generalities, saying, "God will deal with haters," and calling bloggers money-hungry fools. Without admitting any specific regrets, without addressing the actual content of the leaked audio, Joanie missed an opportunity to connect authentically. Audiences crave honesty, real admissions of fault, followed by clear steps toward healing. Polished speeches about spiritual warfare and God's faithfulness ring hollow when they dodge the hardest questions. Another viewer pointed out the glaring similarity between Joanie's and Doug's faith testimonies. Both scripted around letters to God, both presented with identical emotional beats. It's like a spiritual copy-paste, they commented. That observation cut to the heart of why the PR stunt felt so contrived. When two public figures recycle the same faith narrative framework, complete with the same language and timing, it ceases to feel personal. Instead, it looks like a marketing strategy designed by a PR team rather than genuine storytelling from the heart. Conflict of interest in interviews can do more damage than good. In journalism, we learn that the best interviews happen when the host is independent, asking tough questions and digging for truth. Here, with Strang's dual role as publisher and host, that independence was absent. Joanie controlled her message end to end. The host was an ally, the questions were soft, and the editing was refined. Viewers spotted this imbalance immediately. When a leader tries to manage the narrative that closely, it often backfires, creating suspicion rather than trust. Beyond Joanie's personal story, the fallout has broader implications for faith-based organizations. Daystar, like many ministries, relies on trust. Viewers tune in because they believe in the integrity of the teachings and the people delivering them. When those leaders engage in PR stunts that feel insincere, the entire brand suffers. Critics argue that religious networks should adopt transparent practices similar to public companies. Full disclosure of conflicts, open Q&A sessions, and independent oversight. Without these safeguards, any hint of deception can erode the foundation of trust that ministries depend upon. This interview offered a case study in authenticity versus spin. Authentic storytelling requires vulnerability. Admitting mistakes, owning contradictions, and laying out concrete plans for repair. Spin, by contrast, hides complexity behind polished soundbites and carefully curated footage. For Joanie Lamb, the choice to spin her narrative may have seemed safer in the short term, but in the long run, it fueled deeper mistrust. Viewers remembered the undone contradictions, the honeymoon deposit, the deleted episode, the scripted faith stories, and found it hard to believe the rest of her message. What can leaders learn from this misstep? First, timelines matter. When you speak publicly about personal milestones, grief, engagement, new love, ensure your dates align with reality. Small discrepancies can become viral talking points that overshadow your intended message. Second, conflicts of interest undermine credibility. If a host benefits from your appearance, viewers will question the integrity of the questions and the authenticity of your answers. Third, sincerity outweighs polish. A raw, unscripted admission of error can connect more deeply than a flawless but rehearsed narrative. For viewers navigating their own faith journeys, this story offers valuable lessons too. When you encounter a public narrative that feels too perfect, ask questions. Seek out multiple sources, listen to dissenting voices, and consider what might be omitted as much as what is included. Genuine healing, whether personal or organizational, thrives in transparency. If you're part of a community or ministry, encourage open forums where hard questions are welcomed, not brushed aside. As the interview wrapped up, Joanie smiled and quoted scripture, "Truth always prevails." It's a hopeful sentiment, and in many ways, she's right. Truth does prevail, but only when it's willing to reveal itself fully, without fear of embarrassment or backlash. If Joanie wants to rebuild her reputation, she'll need more than carefully edited interviews and supportive hosts. She'll need to engage the toughest critics directly, admit where she went wrong, and demonstrate genuine steps toward reconciliation with her family and her audience. Thank you for watching this deep dive into Joanie Lamb's high-stakes interview. If you found this video thought-provoking, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments. What questions do you think Joanie still needs to answer? How can faith leaders balance image and integrity? We read every comment and appreciate your perspective. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and stay committed to seeking truth in every story. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated on all our honest, in-depth analyses.